Boom! Get a cup of tea, pause the video, get a cup of tea, make yourself comfortable, and come on, join me. It's time for Chillin Tuesdays. Here, the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. I'm Thundercloud. Mum calls me James, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. Let's have some fun and linguistic games. Good evening. Welcome to Chillin Tuesday on this 7th of June 2022. I'm pretty sure that's the date. Actually, I'm really not too sure actually. 7th of June, 2022. But I'm sure of the temperature. And it's chilling here. We're heading for a top of 5 tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's getting a bit warmer. And by next Tuesday, Guyra's going to hit double figures of 10 degrees. Yes, and it's currently 2 degrees outside. Feels like -4. It's going to go down to 0. Feels like -8 overnight. So we are chilling here on a Tuesday in Guyra, and I've got a bit of poetry for you tonight. And I'll begin with a language and a concept warning straight up, and a warning to First Nations viewer that I will be mentioning the name of a fantastic poet, a First Nations poet who has passed on. And on that note, we'll begin by acknowledging the traditional owners, the traditional custodians of this land on which I'm broadcasting tonight. Don't need that on. From Guyra, the Banbai, the Kamilaroi people, and acknowledge the continuing connection to the land of the elders past, present, and emerging. The young'uns just as important as the old folks, because they are the future. Now, you got yourself a cuppa? You ready? Welcome to Chillin Tuesday. And tonight, on the program, I'll be reading some of the incredible Colin Johnson, once again, like I read last week, from the Song Circle of Jacky, published in, was it 1986? And I'm going to be continuing from where I left off last week, which was, I think, Song 15. I'm going to stay on with Song 16. I'll also be reading from the Penguin Anthology of Australian Poetry, edited by John Kinsella. And I'm going to be starting with a poem of A.D. Hope, who some people say was one of the greatest Australian poets of the 20th century. Then I'll be moving on to something from Robert Harris, a bit of my own stuff. And with that, let's begin with a bit of my own stuff off the cuff. Poetry is the juice of an orange, a navel orange, but it's also the pith, a Valencia orange with seeds, which makes beautiful juice. That's poetry. It's farm fresh, free range eggs and flashing lights. Poetry is medicine for the mind, a challenge for all times, a flow. It's metered or not. I forgot what I was going to say, but alliteration changes the day. We just say and go away. That's poetry. We go our own way, I say. So poetry is whatever you want it to be. Spoken, written, or not, just thought in your head and then forgot. But what good is a poem that is not remembered, not shared everywhere? It helps to ease the pain, to talk about the rain in Spain again and again and again and again and again. Or lift up, change minds, change times, legislate. Poets are the unofficial legislators of this world. If there were no politicians, the poets would be sought far and wide for their wisdom, their advice. That's nice and warm. I say, disobey. Poetry is Thundercloud. Right. Colin Johnson. Mudrooroo. He changed his name to Mudrooroo after talking with Mudrooroo Noonuccal, formerly Kath Walker, of the Noonuccal tribe up there on Minjerribah, and he changed his name to Mudrooroo, which means paperbark, and that's the same as what Udjuroo means, but he was a Noongar man from Western Australia, and he changed his name to Mudrooroo, which was a Noongar word, Mudrooroo Noongar. And the Song Circle of Jacky, he wrote a number of books in his life. Here I am, Song 16. It's all marked and ready to go. Language and concept warning for the continuation of this show, for anyone who's snowflakey. A grasping at the sentimental, a boy and his dog, romantic tinges of the soul, Huck Finn and Sawyer, the long sweep of the river floating with subservient, friendly blacks, a grasping at the heroic in thousands of clean towns. The cowpoke's hat shades his bleak, watchful eyes, hiding his pain at never being clean and right. Not even the feel of a kind hand before he rides into the setting sun, leaving the folks to meet a saviour, someday, sooner or never. A grasping at the trivial, reaching for the moon, to paper it over with aluminium and squaring plastic and plastic. A plastic man in a plastic suit on a plastic moon, with gee whiz sounds jerking the life from a stone. America. Jacky saw your golden skin, America. Jacky touched your shivering flesh. He felt your anger quiver in your hates and loves, and he felt your bombs burn his peasant skin, while knowing the lily white couldn't endure the sun, even of California, where snow is manufactured for $1. America, Jacky has little to say to you. He tries, but your strident voices shout him down when he wanders along your tracks, an 8-lane highway, his blood splattering and streaming from coast to coast. The Song Circle of Jacky, Song 17. They call us terrorists, we, the terrified. Soldiers came to our village. Soldiers came to our jumbled low mud walls topped by palm fronds. Soldiers came bouncing in shiny new jeeps, clutching shiny new rifles to take our shiny new school, roofed with iron, thatched with our hopes, our despairs and future gains. Now we have a shiny new police station. Now we have a shiny new police station in shiny new uniforms. Now we have army patrols and broken down walls. Now we have shiny new planes and have no homes. Now we live in the hill. We, the terrified, cower in the hills, and they call us terrorists with our burnt out fields and working men's hands. Now they call us terrorists, though we only have a single bullet for our antique rifles, but the will to get more. Song 18. In 1914 I was young and creative. Then I made my first attempt, tried bullets and bayonets and killed millions of myselves. But not enough, I still survived. I ached and pained, enclosed in hospitals. I dreamt intentions, inventions, and had to try again. In the 30s, I used the aeroplane, followed it up, careful plans of gas ovens. I bombed and shot, hacked and cut. In the last explosion, thousands died to add to the millions dead, but I still survived. To end myself, to end myselves, I employed scientists and set them to work. They discovered napalm and how it hurt. Thousands suffered, yet I still survive, planning the final solution to myself, to myselves. The song Circle of Jacky and selected poems by Colin Johnson. Song 19. Underground. Don't try to find us. Underground. How we hurt, aching. For the best for all of us. Suffering for the best for all of us. Dried up tears in cheap hotel rooms, padded cells filled with misunderstanding. We wanted the best for all of us, while bullets flew and we cried and died, fewer and fewer. Day by day we die, in cheap hotel rooms and padded cells. Ideals we thought we were. Now you know where to find us. Song 20. There's 3 parts to this, Song 20. The shuffling drunk the street derides, his flaking face baffles the day. God staggers, sly in drunken rage. A heavy fist, sodden and numb, crashes, vibrating the parking meter. All around the middle class recoil. The shabby line writhes to move, in hunger twisted bloodless veins. $5 a quart to buy, then wine to rebuild the battered cells, and food the snaking line writhes still, voicing motherfucking threats of death. Violence stumbles, shambles in bleary blind, to be kicked out on his scabby ass. Voices mutter, whining for and against, an unfeeling flesh struggling with the warmth of wine, dirt and hopeless numb life, stranded from Folsom to San Quentin. Man by shifting man, the serpent glides, hissing towards veggies and stew, stale cakes and tepid black coffee, dark as the rooms vacant of souls, long gone elsewhere to far suburbs, leaving Jacky alone with an aching stomach self. 2. No rent, this time is over. This weary hotel room rest, old newspapers scattered over the floor, stained sheets flecked with tobacco flakes, a broken wardrobe, crumbled, twisted hangers, a bag stuffed snout on the dirty floor. A few magazines left with yellow wash basin, a chest of drawers filled with empty bottles and cans. No hope. Traffic roars through the window, flashing with a red and green store sign. No hope. A radio stutters through the open door. The speckled mirror shows no hope. No hope. Jacky humps his bag and treads away. Hope, $2 key deposit. Written out in triplicate, survival in capitalist gloom, ID'd and imprinted in wax. Too bad, arrest and out to try again. In the night-time light, the bars are singing, sung by a 50-ish woman in high white boots, grey hair streaks ray into a whiskey bottle. What'll happen when she leaves? In the Salvo Centre, old boys rest, in anger, sober to earn a dime or two, then break out, drink his death for life. Pious souls wait, yet Jesus doesn't speak. In the night-time light, the band is swinging, the drummer lurches into the hands of a cop. Leave me alone, I sing my cowboy songs. A snarl, who wrecked the telephone? In the Salvo Centre, quiet men seek fights in fitful, moody growls. Get away! I'm off to have a drink. Jesus saves, I hear it every day. Song 21. A bottle of wine, a warm, warm thrill. Old men sitting, 7-inch screen flickering, with all the signs of life gone dry with violence. Jacky's seen the best minds lost to this TV set. Thank God I've got my screen to keep me company, together with a bottle of red and a cigarette. I'm happy and don't even feel a need. The radio keeps on along, a pulsing disco beat of keep it up and on, lest one day you'll wake, one day to shriek, my God, what's wrong? No sights of yesterday's news swirling on the tube, no sounds of the current tune rattling around the speaker. My God, even the empty bottle is filled with loneliness. Song 22. Let me have a cup of tea. Barry's Gold Blend Irish tea. Wet the whistle. Song 22 from the Song Circle of Jacky and Selected Poems by Mudrooroo. The road is barred by temples and churches. My Lord, Jacky hears your call and tries to run. Your voice is lost in the din of ceaseless babble. His soles are sore, his knees are bare and bloody. He limps on, but his desire for unity dies in a host of faiths screaming, truth! At last, the door of love, bearing too many locks, Krishna and Allah, Jesus and Kali, mother and father, poor Jacky, sitting in and crying in regret and frustration. I'm going to call it a night there on that song, and I'll leave the next for next week, Chillin Tuesday. I'll be reading from Song 23. I don't think I'll read right up to the end, up to Song 35 next week, because there'll be, a couple of weeks to go. All right. So that is the Song Circle of Jacky and Selected Poems, Colin Johnson, and published by Hyland House in 1986. There you go. Right, moving right along to the next thing over here I've got for you tonight. The Penguin Anthology of Australian Poetry, edited by John Kinsella. Hey, I'll tell you what, why don't we get a bit intimate? Come on over. Come on, a bit closer. Yeah? All right. How's that? More friendly? All right, here we go. So this is A.D. Hope. Yes, A.D. Hope. His name was Alec Derwent Hope. And some people, well, namely Ashley Albanese, say that other people say that he was the best Australian poet of the 20th century. So how about that? And I'm going to be reading one called Australia that he wrote. A nation of trees, drab and green and desolate grey, in the field uniform of modern wars, darkens her hills, those endless outstretched paws of sphinx demolished our stone lion worn away. They call her a country, but they lie. She is the last of lands, the emptiest. A woman beyond her change of life, a breast, still tender, but within the womb is dry. Without songs, architecture, history, the emotions and superstitions of younger lands, her rivers of water drown among inland sands, the river of her immense stupidity, floods her monotonous tribes from Cairns to Perth. In them at last the ultimate men arrive, whose boast is not we live, but we survive, a type who will inhabit the dying earth. And her 5 cities, like 5 teeming sores, each drains her a vast parasite robber state, where second-hand Europeans pullulate timidly on the edge of alien shores. Yet there are some like me turn gladly home from the lush jungle of modern thought to find the Arabian desert of the human mind, hoping if still from the deserts the prophets come, such savage and scarlet as no green hills dare, springs that waste some spirit which escapes the learned doubt, the chatter of cultured apes, which is called civilization over there. All right, so there you go, that's it. Now the other one here I just found in this book is Robert David Fitzgerald. Now, I don't know much about him myself, however, Ashley Albanese says that he's good. So I'm going to read one of his here, and oh yes, I think this was the one he wanted me to read anyway. Oh yeah. All right, so this is from this is Robert David Fitzgerald, and it's a poem written to Mary Gilmore, who's on the $10 note, who was one of Australia's living, or one of the legends of Australian poetry. It's called The Wind at Your Door. Okay, so I'm going to read this first time, so I will take it slowly and deliberately and make sure I don't stumble over any words. Clear the throat and let's get on. Let's get a chair. Put my foot up on a chair and then I can rest the book on my knee. My ancestor was called on to go out, a medicine man, and one such must by law wait in attendance on the pampered knout, and lend his countenance to what he saw, lest the pet patting with to bed a claw be judged a clumsy pussy bitter and hard, see as I see him in that jailhouse yard. Or see my thought of him, though time may keep elsewhere tradition or a portrait still, I would not feel under his cloak of sleep, if beard there or smooth chin just to fulfill some canon of precision, God or ill. His blood's my own, and scratching in his grave could find me more than I might wish to have. Let him then be much in the middle style of heightened colouring, let his hair be dark and his eyes green, and for that slit the smile that seemed inhuman, have it a cruel and stark, but grant it could be too the ironic mark of all caught in the system, who the most, the doctor or the flesh twined round the post. There was a high wind blowing on that day, for one who would not watch but looked aside, said that when twice he turned it blew his way, splashes of blood and strips of human hide, shaken out from the lashes that were plied, one by one right-handed and one left-handed, tough, sweating at this pallid task, and skilled enough. That wind blows to your door down all these years. Have you not known it when some breath you drew tasted of blood? Your comfort in your ears of just thanks to a savagery tamed in you, only a subtle of fears may serve in lieu of thong and noose old savagery, which has built your world and laws out of the lives it's spilt. For what was jail yard widens and takes in my country 50 paces of stamped earth, stretch in grey walls retreat and grow so thin that towns show through and clearings new raw birth, from which burst from handcuffs and free hands go forth, to win tomorrow's harvest from a vast plough land, the 50 paces of that past. But see it through a window barred across, from cells this side facing the outer gate, which shuts on freedom, opens on its loss in a flat wall. Look left now through the gate at buildings more like walls, roofed with grey slate, or hollowed in the thickness of laid stone, each side the court where the crowd stands this noon. One there with the officials thick of build, not stout, say burly, so this obstinate man, ghosts in the eyes of whom enemies killed, as I was taught, because the monopolist clan found him a grit in their smooth turning plan, to loyally active on behalf of Bligh, so he got lost and history passed him by. But now the buttons of his long coat against the biting gusts, or as a gesture of mind, habitual, as if to keep him fenced from the stabs of slender, sticking him from behind, sped by the schemers never far to find, in a fraction, where approval from one source damns in another clubroom, of course. This man had hunters' confidence, king's praise, and settlers on the starving Hawkesbury banks, recalled through twilight drifting across their days the doctor's fee of little more than thanks. So often, and how sent by their squeezed ranks, he put their case in London, I find I lack, that hateful paint to daub him wholly black. Perhaps my life replies to his too much, through veiling generations dropped between. My weakness here, resentments there may touch old motives and explain them till I lean to the forgiveness I must hope may clean my own shortcomings, since no man can live in his own sight if it will not forgive. Certainly, I must own him whether or not it be my will. I was made understand this much when once marking a freehold lot, my papers suddenly told me it was land granted to Martin Mason. I felt his hand heavily on my shoulder, and I knew what coil binds life to life through bodies and soul to soil. There, over to one corner, a bony group of prisoners waits, and each shall be in turn tied by his own arms in a human loop about the post, with his back bared, to learn the price of seeking freedom. So they earn 300 rippling stripes apiece, as set by the law's mathematics against the debt. There are the Irish batch of Castle Hill, rebels and mutineers, my countrymen, twice over first because of those to till, my birthplace first, hack roads, raves, roofs, and then, because their older land time and again enrolls me through my forebears, and I claim as origin that threshold whence we came. One sufferer had my surname, and there too Morris, which added up to history once, an ignorant dot, no doubt, for all that crew was tenantry. The breed of clod and dunce makes patriots and true man. I could announce that Morris, as my kin, I say aloud, I'd take his irons as heraldry and be proud. Morris is at the post, its music lulls. 100 lashes done, if backbone shows, then play the tune on buttocks, but feel his pulse. That's what a doctor's for, and if it goes lamely, then does it with those purging blows, which have not made him moan, though writhing there. Let my neck be, he says, and flog me fair. 100 lashes more, then rest the flail. What says the doctor now? The dog won't yelp. He'll tire you out before you'll see him fail. Here's strength to spare. Go on, hey, proud to pulp. Yet when you've done, he'll walk without your help and knock down guards who'd carry him being bid. and sing no song of where the pikes are hid. It would be well if I could find removed through generations back, who knows how far, more than a surname's thickness is approved, bridge that's with that man's foundation. I need some star of courage from his firmament, a bar. Against surrender's faith and trials are less than rain blacked wind tells of that old distress. Yet I can live with Mason, what is told, and what my heart knows of his heart can sort much truth from falsehood, much there that I hold, good clearly or good clouded by report, and for things bad ill grows where ills resort. There they were bad times, none knows what in his place they might have done. I've my own faults to face. A long poem, Wind at Your Door. Well, and that's from the Penguin Anthology of Australian Poetry, edited by John Kinsella, written by many, many poets, published in 2009 by Penguin in Australia. There you go. It's a fantastic book. It's got it's a whole heap of poets in here, from Jim Murray, the Wangkangura people, Paddy Lando, Nardi, Williams. They're very right at the beginning. Michael Massey Robinson, who lived from 1744 to 1826. John Grant, Baron Field, Richard Wheatley, these are all 18th century. There's 19th century poets in here. There's still trying that one on 34. And there's 19th century, there's 20th century poets, Frederick Manning, Brian Furman, Dorothy McKellar, Zora Mary May Cross, Lesbia Harford, 20th century poets, A.D. Hope, Kenneth Slessor, A.G. Moll, Harry Hooton, he's like an anarchist poet, Ian Moody, Hal Porter, Roland Robinson. There's just so many that I've never actually seen such a comprehensive book of Australian poets, but of really wide selection of poets. It's not all Banjo Patterson and Henry Lawson, which is fantastic. Modern poets, so people let's go right to the end. So some of the youngest poets here, starting right at the end. J.R. Savage, Ali Zadia, Miriam Weiwei Lowe, Kate Fagan, Michael Brennan, Judith Bishop, Lewis Aman, John May, Mattia, Miles Merrill. So there you go, a whole heap of poets to discover. The Penguin Anthology of Australian Poetry here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame in our library. Now, I was going to read something of Localities, poems by Robert Harris. And Seahorse. The funny thing is, it's like Seahorse, and I think Seahorse, it must be the publishing company, because there's really not much information about. Oh, here it is. Yes. Okay. Copyright Robert Harris. Printed in Australia. Published in Australia by Seahorse Publications, Greensborough, Victoria. Hello! How ironic that I've got this book, which is Seahorse. Must have been my subconscious working there. Robert Harris was born in 1951, and this is his first book of poems. Of this first edition of 500 copies of the first 20 have been numbered and signed. Well, it's obviously not this one, because there's no signature on it. Alright, so where am I going to start? It's called Localities. Or maybe I'll just start at the beginning. Is there a... There's not. Okay. Oh, there's one. Easter poem. Christ, your pitch of light enshrines our lives, which in their turn perpetuate your cross. That's it. I'll read it again. Easter poem. Christ, your pitch of light enshrines our lives, which in their turn perpetuate your cross. Yeah, there you go. I felt that like open up my third eye. That one. Girl singing. Out there in the laundry, she's softly singing, dissolving and blending shreds and shards of half-remembered dreams, low singing as if she's afraid to be heard, afraid to be found here singing by anyone who might think singing is criminal. And she sings sweetly, tones, sharps, notes, loom and deceive, dip, turn away, rise again, and once more turn, the corner in her throat where briefly voice is lost in the slap of the washing against the rough gut of the trough. Now, to his cormorant ears, another song emanates from behind the wall, drops from her lips like a gambler's perfect card, and the false weight of humility turns to a road below in a willow pattern, where a balloon is ascending steadily up to the white, hot eye of the sun. Eight lines. The fat clouds tumble in across the bay, cluster and trouble the skies, whilst over land their running stains of shadow swiftly play. Immured safely behind white window sills, who would not relinquish a story of the time spent defenceless in the green spine of the ridge, where savage lightning licks and thunder thrills. ooh, I like these poems that like really like powerful and beautiful. A shadow for the collection. He loved you honestly, mystery. He thrilled to the way you moved and spoke, got lost in your body and hair, and was wholly swamped in your several oceans. Until you, mystery, in your mystery, hurt him most mysteriously. A shadow for the collection. That's more shivery. That one gives you shivers. You want to hear it again? Okay, okay, no, again. A shadow for the collection. He loved you honestly, mystery. He thrilled to the way you moved and spoke, got lost in your body and hair, and was wholly swamped in your several oceans. Until you, mystery, in your mystery, hurt him most mysteriously. A love poem written in asterisks. Twilight is sometimes more solidly dark than midnight or following gunmetal blue hours before the morning's red. Archers bend their bows and horizon over the wet, clinging lip of horizon. In the night, flare matches, fires and sing lights, in the strange way all night lights seem to sing. But twilight casts no match in high relief and absorbs the emptied colours of faded day. Then is the sun, a soft red bleeding sorrows, onto the mirrors of winking seas. Then are the clouds a crowd of people in summer shirts running to shelter in sudden rain, or a lock of hair that falls with a whisper so. Then is the soul left to its own devices, utterly void, being filled by minute secrecies self will only repeat to self. View I'm not going to do that one. Squall. The gust brought first warning of the squall. Came wriggling through fields, came waving dust around dancing saplings. Then the steam-white mist from over-settled hills came applauding the passage across the green flat like a snake, and burst dramatically, violent, wishing violence, harbouring danger of flying debris to those soft shells our skins before moving on. The short orgasmic spasm left wet, quite murmuring to quiet. Nice. I like that one. What about you? If you like that one, give it a thumbs up. Click on the video, thumbs up. And so we get more subscribers, subscribe or tell your friends about it. And make sure you comment. Write a comment, please. I'm asking you. I'm not begging. I'm begging. I don't beg. I just ask them nicely. Would you please write a comment about a poet that you would like me to read out, an Australian poet, or a poem even, and I'll look it up and I'll see if I can do it next week. If we've got it in the comments this week. Got it? Now I haven't got the Facebook up and running again, so this is only going to be put up here on YouTube, maybe Spotify later, but this is the only place you can watch this video at the moment. So tell your friends about it. Share it through social media, because I got no social media at the moment. Share it through your Instagram or your whatever, your Facebook or whoever, your Pinterest. I don't know what people do, but please do me that favour. Give it a thumbs up, give it a comment, and share it with your friends and family and say, hey, check out this Thundercloud fella. He's a great poetry reader, and it's really interesting listening to some of the stuff that he reads out on a Tuesday, and we can just like watch it any time, but it's always really interesting. Yeah. Okay, got that. Good. All right, I'm going to move on now, and I don't have a lot left. I've got to pick up my book off the floor. Poetry to End Prohibition, the 2020 edition, is available on Amazon, and it's also available from me directly. So if you want a copy, send me an email or call me. My email's oneenglish1@gmail.com. They're both like numeral 1 English, numeral 1@gmail.com. And tell me if you want a book, and we'll work it out. All right. So I'm going to read from that later. But now, I was here one day, and suddenly this fella walks in. Ahmar Mahboob, Sonny Boy Williams, or Prof Nomad. Sonny Boy, not Williams, Sonny Boy Brumby, something like that. And Prof Nomad. Yes. And he left some poetry. So I'm going to read some of his postcard poetry out. The little short ones. It's about a tree in a field. I stand alone where once I was a forest of colours and life and creatures big and small. Now my job is to shade temporary dwellers, those unlucky beasts farmed as human fodder. The earth beneath my roots has shifted. No longer do I taste any fullness of life. I dig deep and wide, searching for my siblings. In silence, I hear the stories of their demise. Ahmar Mahboob. What can never be given to the greedy? Born into a world of greed, one learns to want early, taught through words written in books. One builds beliefs without observance, fed on food sourced from oppression. One confuses suffering with life, forced into labour, enforced by law. One loses dignity again and again. Broken by a system built on symbols, one clings to any hope one can. Once all is lost, one finally realises enough cannot be given to the greedy. Ahmar Mahboob. Enough. Leaving the promises behind, I choose to retreat into the woods, to listen, to learn, to unlearn. Ahmar Mahboob. One more. This tree, standing on half a leg, is not fallen, not dead, nurtured well. She will find ways to stay strong and give life. And, right, so that's a picture of the tree there, and it's a bit hard to see, but the tree's like got half the bottom missing, it's like burnt out. All right, so the next one, we're just chilling on a Tuesday. It's very chill here in Guyra. It's beautifully chill. Hey, and this Friday night at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, 10th of June 2022, we've got the Winter Vibes Pacific Music Dance Night here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, starting at 7:30, going to 11 o'clock, and featuring the Vanuatu String Band and the Solomon Island Band. Oh, and they've been practicing today and they are fantastic. I am so looking forward to that here on Friday night, this Friday. Yes, it's true, it's happening, it's last. Now there's no COVID restrictions, people can dance and have a good time. Yeah, excellent. All right. I don't know what I'm going to read now. I'm going to read one of my own poems. That's what I am going to read. Yes, it is very, very, very true. I'm going to read will I read that? Oh, I don't know. Maybe Tinkerbilly. Yeah, all right. Tinkerbilly, that's what I'm going to read to you, if I can find it. Okay. Tinga Billy. Now, Tinga's like about 50 k's that way, on the way to Inverell from Guyra. You just go up to Ollera Street and you hang a left and you just keep following the road out and eventually get to Tinga. It's an old tin mining town. And if you get to Tinga, make sure you check out the Wing Hing Long Museum because it's fantastic. Definitely. This is about Tinga Billy. Tinga Billy was a farmer and he planted trees along his creeks and gullies and he pulled out weeds. As a lad, Billy's dad sent him off to school. He studied every day as Billy was no fool. When he graduated Ag College, he went home with a plan to lend a hand to his dad to regenerate the land. He planted 80 fields of yam between the forest stands, finger lime and gumby. Tinga Billy's plan was grand. Tinga Billy carried water from the creek to grow the trees. Summer sun had scorched the earth and brought drought and disease. A plague of feral pigs, led by the mighty boar, ripped up the seedlings by their roots and dug the forest floor. The yams were gone, the limes were trampled, gumby too, and Tinga Billy knew exactly what Billy had to do. Tinga Billy got real mad. He ran home and got his gun. He said, "Come on, Dad, the pigs are here. Let's go have some fun." The pigs bolted through the pumpkin field as they pulled up in the truck. Billy told his dad, "I'm going to fix this muck." He lifted up his rifle and he took a careful aim. A little did Tinga Billy know of his approaching fame. The monster boar charged as Tinga Billy pulled the trigger. The rifle didn't fire and the boar grew bigger and bigger. He jumped up on the ute and Tinga Billy grabbed the yoke because he knew that it was his only hope. He leapt and threw his rope and caught the mighty boar, and 200 kilos of monster boar made a mighty roar. He leapt upon its back and the boar took it in his stride and bolted off with Tinga Billy through the countryside. Through the scrub it bolted, but Tinga Billy had a grip. The mighty boar took Billy on a mighty bush bash trip. Billy's only hope was to wear the boar down, and his grip grew tight as the mighty boar headed into town. Through Darby's Creek, then Diamond Street, left Opal Street, then Ruby Street, and he'd still be going next week if Arnie Dog hadn't heard him shriek. Well, he rode fast past the Wing Hing Long Museum and a busload of tourists cheered to see him. He went viral on a Facebook and a COVID Zoom stream, made the whole world laugh and hysterically scream. Tinga Billy was about to shoot to fame when Auntie Dot raised a rifle and took a careful aim. She squeezed the trigger and shot the mighty boar right up the arse. In Guyra Road the boar slowed, but it didn't die fast. Tinga Billy almost got halfway to Gilgai before the mighty boar collapsed to finally die. It jumped off the road to avoid a truck into Bluebeard's Gully, where it finally got stuck. It was Tinga Billy's very, very, very lucky day. He got down from the mighty boar and he yelled, "Yippee-yi-yi! I've got a monster boar for dinner." And when things looked dire, Tinga Billy looked down and found a monster sapphire. "Well, when things look dire, I landed in a ditch. I'll have roast pork for dinner and this sapphire makes me rich." And that is the story of how Tinga Billy shot to fame when he rode a monster boar 10 k's and staked a mining claim. Amazing, eh? Amazing. Amazing poetry. Yeah, poetry is amazing. I love it. You love it because you're watching it. Poetry to End Prohibition by yours truly, Thundercloud, washing away the garbage, leaving behind rainbows. What am I going to read to you tonight? Prohibition. Poetry to end prohibition. Wow. Yeah. A crackhole. A shithole. Oh, language warning. A shithole, a turtle, and not a nice place. People go there just to get off their face. Crackheads and ice heads, the violent and poor, little wonder people avoid going there anymore. In need of a paint job, a spruce and a clean and ambient music. You know what I mean, because people now only go to get high. Crack, ice, heroin. If you're desperate to try the impure cut drugs caused by prohibition instead of harms minimised if we change this condition. OD'd or psychosis, haven't slept for days, fear of the truth of his drug-taking ways, and being locked in prison for self-medicating, no chance of rehab from the drugs he is taking. Crystal meth made in a basement, he's wired, he hasn't slept for days. But he's not tired. Adrenaline rush and he's running again, speaking to himself and he's going insane. Too many rushes in uncontrolled doses being carted away and in a psychosis certified by a shrink and partially insane. It's pharmaceutically poisoned, forcefully injected into his brain, walking, dribbling like a zombie with tears in his eyes, meeting cops and psychologists, KPIs. Prohibition causes many social pains. Harms aren't minimised and there are many fried brains. Ending all prohibition would change the situation. We could harm minimise right across the nation. And empty the prisons by 80% and save billions of dollars if prohibition went. Then people could grow cannabis at home, eat, juice it, cook it, feel good all alone and free from a flower of a tree, and that you grow for free, not a pharmaceutical poisons, free the cannabis tree. No OD'd from opiates, choked on vomit alone. They found him on the floor, dead in his home. And the whole place stank from the shit of a mouse. A shithole. A turtle. The junkie's crack house. Yeah. On a lighter note, end prohibition and stop a punitive justice punishment model. It's like that one from Robert Fitzgerald about flogging someone with like lashes. It doesn't work and makes resentment in society, and it causes more problems than it actually fixes. If people were able to openly admit that they use all kinds of substances and that they have substance abuse issues without it being stigmatised and being fear of prison and locked up, then they could actually get help instead of going to prison and all that money spent on prisons spent helping people, and ending all prohibition of these substances and then regulating them so that you can get, if you are addicted to that stuff, you can get safe, not cut stuff. Anyway, that's my rant. I'm Thundercloud, and I wrote this book because a young man died. And that comes from my heart. Now, something else that comes from my heart this week. I'm going to read you out some of my this week's poetry, what I've written, because I've actually got back to doing a little bit of writing here. Yes, I am. Yes, I have. Yes. Okay. Should I do... I'm going to do all of the ones that I've done in the last week, which is about 4, I think. Okay, a concept warning if it's talking about sex, this one. So if you, with aliens, so, yeah, but it's funny anyway. So, yeah, if you get offended, go away. If you get offended and You want to be offended? Stay. There's times I can't sleep. There's a story inside my brain about an alien abduction while riding on a train. There are times I can't sleep and I'm taken from my bed. I get probed and poked and jabbed and prodded in my head. The next thing I remember, I was on a water planet swimming and my job was to repopulate and copulate all the women. And the men were sterile at the collapse of their population. So into test tubes they wanted my masturbation and ejaculation. They said I could return to Earth when my offspring were born, so for 9 months I fucked and wanked and made alien porn. When all at once there began this giant wave of births, so the alien put me back on a spaceship and brought me home to Earth. And they gave me a souvenir scarf made out of alien pubic hair, so when I'm lonely I wear it, and the smell reminds me of when I was there, repopulating an alien planet to where I was adopted far away and made to have sex with alien women for 277 days. I remember waking up and still riding on the train. I haven't told a soul, as they probably think I'm insane, because sometimes everything is not as it seems. I told someone on Sunday and she replied, "In your dreams." Well, people don't want to believe me. All right, this one is about a phoenix. In its smouldering ashes, the phoenix is reborn when its feathers are touched by fire, burnt and torn. The old ways are destroyed, phoenix rises in flame, crashes and burns, but rises magnificent once again. The phoenix emerges from the flames of the fire, flying higher to aspire to what we'd all admire, with plumage of feathers coloured golden and red. The phoenix is reborn from the ashes of the dead. Yeah. I like the way you could, like, the phoenix is reborn from the ashes of the dead. Yeah, it's all in the delivery, that line, definitely. All right. Oh, this is about, like, what's going on in my mind, like, Pisces and Aquarius is when you want to say something and you don't know how to say it. It's when you're wondering when and how to say it. You don't want to hurt someone's feelings, and so you say quiet. You need to be courageous and compassionate and kind, and the truth needs to be told. When the truth needs to be told for your own integrity, and you don't want to upset someone. But you don't want to upset someone. When you want to speak up, but there's an inner voice saying, be quiet, be patient. When you're sure of something because your heart and intuition tell you the same thing. Fish swim in water. Water is in fish bowls. Fish live in fish bowls. Fish bowls are carried. Dropped fish bowls break. Glass shatters. Water soaks. Fish dries and fish dies. Fish don't belong in fish bowls. Fish belong free in rivers. Fish belong free in seas. where fish live free from fish bowls which break. Okay, and the last one for the night, Chillin on a Tuesday, here from Seahorse Medicine Cafe at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame in Guyra. Don't forget Friday's little swing and do here, our Winter Vibes Pacific Music Festival. Anyway, here we go. This is called Hard to Get. An original 1970s $6 million man doll still in package. Hard to get. Some people's poetry, hard to get. Assumptions, hard to get. Why some people hate. Hard to get alcohol if you're under 18. Hard to get unicorn poo, dinosaur eggs, warm in Guyra, a compatible mate. Hard to get published, rid of borders, a dream job. Hard to get vaxxers to change their mind. Hard to get anti-vaxxers to change their mind. I look high, I look low. For unicorn poo everywhere I go, searching far and wide. I get tired legs, searching about for dinosaur eggs. It's hard to get why people hate, and I still haven't found a compatible mate. Looking for a $6 million figure, but but I'm not sure if I dig her. I don't even have a job, so do you think you could send this poet to Bob? Just down there in the comment, and in the description is the link to GoFundMe, the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, and buy me a coffee. So you could just like go down there and click on that link and send me $5 or $20 or $100 or $1,000 if you really want to support the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, because I don't have a Patreon. But whatever, it's appreciated. Even if you wanted to, you could just send me some poetry books and I could read them out here and they could go into the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame Library and Archive, just like Chrissy in Ballarat, who sent me that book there, one of those books over there, the one that I read out from this guy, Robert Harris, Localities. Yeah, it's from Chrissy from Ballarat. So if you see any poetry books in the op shop or whatever, or if you got some poetry books at home that you are not going to read anymore or you're finished with and you'd like to dispose of them in an environmentally friendly way where they'll get reread and reread and reread and reread and reread and reread, and if you reread a book 3 times, it's more environmentally friendly than an ebook, because nobody ever passes on ebooks to share with other people. That's true. Okay. So 144 Bradley Street, Guyra. If you've got spare books, send them here. Spare poetry books, send them here to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame Library and Archive, and they'll be preserved for all Australian people in perpetuity. Preserving poetry in perpetuity. It's not purple. perpetuity. Poetry. What is poetry? It's whatever you want it to be. I'm Thundercloud here from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Washed away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. I've been chilling on a Tuesday on this very cold Guyra night in my dressing gown because I thought, well, why not look like old man poetish? I don't know. Well, actually, I was cold and I thought the dressing gown would keep me warm, actually. All right. Good night! That's good night from me and good night from me. And I'll see you tomorrow night for Wednesday Words here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rain. And there'll be a whole heap of other poets. See you later.